First of all, the package that they did at the start of the match illustrated what they somehow f***ed up here. Can you mean to tell me that this three-way where they shoehorned poor Daniel Bryan into the match for one of the world titles, that this match was more attractive as a three-way after Edge comes back and suddenly turns heel for very little provocation and bashes Daniel Bryan's brains in with a chair and flips out? This match was better this way, or if they had just said, here is Edge, who had to retire 10 years ago from a medical necessity and dreamed about coming back for 10 years and now has done it against all odds and is coming back for this goddamn Roman Reigns to get the title that Edge believed he always wanted. There's your story. Why did they change it in midstream? The people would have fucking, and especially if you're not going to change the belt. They made Edge look like a complete fucking idiot. Bring him back as a conquering hero that's conquered his medical problems and worked his way back in condition to get back in the ring for one more chance at the world title. A Cinderella story out of nowhere. People would love it. Respected veteran. Everybody knows the retirement was legitimate. Bring him back and put him in a program with Roman Reigns and take it to WrestleMania, and Edge gives it everything he's got, but that fucking Reigns, because they're going to put him over anyway, still manages to beat him, possibly with goddamn some type of chicanery from Paul Heyman. If you're not going to send him home happy, at least there you've told a story and you've made it pay off. But they bring Edge back. He gets hurt and has to go back again, which even would have fucking improved the story even yet. Comes back after that, and before he gets to WrestleMania and the big chance, he flips out because Daniel Bryan wants to be involved because the bookers put him in it, and he fucking turns heel on Daniel Bryan and becomes a fucking lunatic. And now we have a three-way with one real heel, one real babyface, and one nut that's in the middle. And three-ways are always rotten, as we know, and you can't fucking get anybody over in them. And then they pull up the no disqualification thing, and then they book a rotten finish. Why was this done to this?
I have no idea, other than it's what Vince wanted. Not that I'm against Daniel Bryan being in a great spot at WrestleMania, certainly not. But like you said, there was a natural story to be told with Edge.
You put Daniel Bryan in a great spot at WrestleMania and then piss in his mouth when he gets there.
Well, that is what ended up happening, yes.
So, and I knew this was doomed from the ring announcer. Did you hear Reigns' introduction from the ring announcer?
I don't recall.
I wrote it down verbatim. Standing in at a weight of 265 pounds. Standing in. Who was he standing in for? The real Roman Reigns? Did they pull a switch like they gave us the fake Warrior? Or the fake superstar Billy Graham? Anyway, so they start this match, and within 30 seconds, Jey Uso starts beating up Daniel Bryan in front of the referee. And guess what the announcer said, Brian?
No DQ.
No DQ. When did they even say that this was going to be a no disqualification match in the advertising? Or did they just make it up the day of because they wanted to do these spots? When was this made a no disqualification match?
I have no idea.
Somebody out there is going, well, it's a triple threat match, so all of them are no. It's like a three-way. All of them are no DQ or some shit. Like now that they've gotten people's heads that you can win the title in a three-way without even beating the champion because it's first pin instead of elimination, which is the only thing that makes sense. Now I guess it's all of them are also no disqualification, so they don't have to think of smart ideas. Speaking of smart ideas, this is the goddamn worst idea I ever had. If I'd have just left it one thing, I think, just for the goddamn fucking Christmas show, I'll never do it again. And then Heyman rips it off, and JR starts asking about it, and here we are 30 years later, and you can't fucking see anything else. All right. So Jey Uso beats up Daniel Bryan in front of the referee within the first 30 seconds, and then it's no disqualification. Then they're all on the floor, and Jey Uso's just freely involved. Within the first 2 minutes of the match, they're bouncing each other off the stairs in the barricade. Then Edge gives Uso a DDT on the metal stairs. And everyone is selling. There's no action at all. The EMTs come out and carry Uso off. This is rotten already. The camera at one point caught Roman Reigns looking up to see if they were ready for his next spot, because they also, these three ways were the places where this got started, what we've been talking about, and now they just do it in every match where, especially with no fans in the building, or now, and even if there's fans in the building, guys just roll out and just sit at ringside out of view like actors leaving a stage when the scene doesn't include them. And then they jump back in right when their next spot comes up. So this is not, they're not even having matches anymore. They're just doing scenes. Everybody's not participating all the way through. Daniel Bryan versus Edge, very good stuff. Two tremendous talents. They could have had a singles match. That's when while they're working with each other, that's where the announcers mentioned that Roman Reigns could lose the title if Edge beats Daniel Bryan. Which points out why they should never book these fucking stupid matches again. It doesn't work. It's fucking stupid. If you're going to have a multiple person match, an elimination is the only way it makes sense. And I know a lot of people out there that have been brainwashed by people in positions of power in wrestling these days will say, well, no, that's to leave more avenues for stories open, and so-and-so can lose without ever being defeated, which leads to a rematch. No, that's just what the people that have been doing this shit have told the people that work for them and made them believe it. Roman Reigns suplexes Daniel Bryan. He'll disappear for 5 minutes so Edge and Roman Reigns can fight. I'd like to have seen a single match between Edge and Roman Reigns. That would have been nice. I could have seen the single match between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, which you said was very good on their last pay-per-view, but I tuned it out after they did all the other stupid shit that came before that made me not want to see any of their product anymore. So all these guys can work, but when they start out the match, the second freely interferes in front of the referee. It's a three-way to begin with. The furniture, the big injury angle in the first 2 minutes. At that point, I'm just waiting for this to be over with because it's the same as everything. It's the same thing you see constantly. And Paul Heyman is the manager, and he never interferes. He doesn't even pull a fucking leg. He doesn't even walk around the ring. He just stands there with his hand over half of his face. He'd have to have hands the size of Andre to put a hand completely over his fucking face. And he looks worried and gets bug eyes when his guy's getting beat up. Can you remember a time he has interfered, passed an object,
No.
pulled a leg, come in and distracted the referee or the baby face and taken a bump from the baby face so the heel can come from behind? He got one chance and he couldn't unlock handcuffs.
No, with him, it's all facial reactions now, and I don't think he's taken a bump since 94, 95.
I know a young lady that used to tell me some of his shortcomings, and she never said that he couldn't unlock handcuffs. But the thing is, I'm not suggesting that he take like power slams and suplexes and whatever the fuck, but that's one of the reasons why I don't manage anymore. I got to the point where I don't want to take any more fucking bumps because I'll hurt myself. But if you're not going to take bumps, don't manage. And Paul has never had an injury. He's never had a surgery. Think about
Lawler did break his jaw.
Okay, that wasn't surgery. It was an injury. But, so did he. Jimmy Hart, too, same thing. But you get over those. But Paul had, as an active manager, he started in, 87? And he wasn't even really managing and bumping in ECW after he took over the book. So 6 years. So he never had any injuries. He never had any surgeries. He ought to be able to goddamn fall down now once in a while. I could still do it if I wanted to. For that much money, I'd take a fucking bump. But anyway, so the flunky Jey Uso just does everything in front of the referee, including, bringing goddamn bludgeons to the ring and whacking people, but the manager that's supposed to interfere never does. Oh, wait. Everything came to a halt again while Roman Reigns set up stairs in front of the desk and then slowly brought Daniel Bryan up and powerbombed him on the table. But then Edge speared Roman Reigns off the steps, and everything comes to a halt again as they're all laying on the ground. And that's when the announcers say, well, there's no countouts. Edge put Reigns back in the ring after Edge speared Roman Reigns off the stairs. Boom, and everybody's selling. Then Edge throws him back in the ring where he can beat him, but he doesn't get back in the ring. He goes out back of the announce desk and starts grabbing chairs. What? You just hit the fucking champion. You've thrown him in the ring. Go for a fucking cover. No, I'll throw him in the ring and then I'll go find some more furniture. Why do you need the extra furniture? You could have beat him there. The whole thing would have been over with. You ever think about that? So he brings in multiple chairs, but then Reigns grabs a chair, and if this spot was planned, actually they did it very well, because Reigns grabs the chair, they have a little tug of war, and Reigns pulls the chair away from Edge, but Edge ends up with one of the metal bars from the chair in his hand. And then he looks like for a second like, oh shit, how'd I get this? And then he drops it because he's not supposed to have a fucking metal club in his hand while Reigns is on offense. But then later on, when he gets the crossface on Edge, he gets the piece of chair and Reigns gets the piece of chair and puts it in Reigns' mouth with a crossface on him. And then Daniel Bryan comes back in and gets the crossface on the other side. And then Bryan and Edge start fighting with each other while they're holding dueling crossfaces on Roman Reigns from Edge has great facials. I'll say that.
I think he looks great here now, like as an old gruff Edge.
Yeah.
He looks like an old guy who kick your ass.
He looks like an old mean man, like some of the boys used to look like before they started working to where you couldn't do this after you're fucking 35. But he kept throwing the chairs in the ring, and this would not end because it was Edge hit Reigns 5 times and Daniel Bryan 4 times with a chair, just pulling back and Paul Bunyaning them, but didn't go for a cover at all. You're in a match for the world championship that's your goal coming back to the sport that you had to goddamn retire from due to doctor's intervention. And now you've got a chair in your hand. The referee's doing absolutely nothing about it. And you've pummeled into powder the champion and your other opponent, and you don't go for a cover. You get back out of the ring and go find more chairs. And then you get in the ring and you put a chair under Roman Reigns' head and a chair under Daniel Bryan's head, and they leave their heads on those chairs when you walk away from them to pick up another chair. Both of them were motionless and could have been pinned easily in the state of physical condition that they were in. But no, they're leaving their heads on the chairs. Edge goes to get another chair, and he does, what do they call it? The concerto. That was a thing he and Christian used to do. It was stupid then. I love both those guys, but it's stupid then, because unless the goddamn guy instantly, his head explodes in a bloody clot, and you never see him again, it was fake. So he hit a concerto on Daniel Bryan that was fake. Uso's back in the ring. He was taken out by a goddamn DDT on the stairs, but he's back now. But Edge beats him with the chair. Then Roman Reigns hits Edge with a spear. Reigns puts Edge's head on a chair. He leaves it there. And Reigns picks up the chair and gives him the worst looking one because You could tell he didn't hit the head. They're hitting the chair to chair to make the noise, but there's no way to sell it. You can't take a bump. You don't want to move and throw the guy's margin of error off. So basically, when they get their head caved in with a fucking chair, they kick their feet up. Just kick your feet up, baby. And then he carried Edge over and put him on top of Daniel Bryan and pinned both of them like Andre used to pin fucking Mario Mancini and John Anthony in handicap matches. Besides the concertos looking fake as fuck, could there be a worse finish to make the fans mad at the company, make Daniel Bryan and Edge both look like shit, not get heat on Roman Reigns, and leave this taste in the live fans' mouths after they spent a fortune to sit out in the rain for 6 hours? What do you think?
I wasn't a big fan of aspects of this match, and I was surprised by the finish. Not only that Roman Reigns won and retained, but the method in which he pinned both guys. That was surprising. I'm not a big fan of all the Jey Uso interfering, but I agree with a lot of what you just said.
And again, if it had been Reigns and Edge with the Cinderella story, Edge could have done the job, and it wouldn't have hurt him, because people would have still reckoned, oh, goddamn, he's 47 years old, and he came back after. Good for him. And what a match. Because it would have been better as a single match. Or they could have had a fucking, well, I wouldn't have had Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan again. But the fans, once again, the fans couldn't be mad at the heels in this because they were doing everything right in front of the referee as part of the lack of any kind of parameters or rules in this clusterfuck they were in. So the heels can't get any heat. The baby faces, or the baby face, ends up looking like shit because he's on the bottom of the pile that got sat on by Andre's ass and just pinned like a turd in a punch bowl. It didn't really get any heat on Roman Reigns for the obvious reasons, because it was a bad finish and because Jey Uso was allowed to freely interfere in front of the referee. Just visually it looked bad, left a bad taste in people's mouths. The heel went over at the climactic point of the second and last night of WrestleMania, so the people leaving the stadium are going, yeah, that was a flat fucking finish and nothing really happened. Even if they'd have put Edge over in a Cinderella story out of nowhere to give people the, where they'd, skip on off into the night, into the parking lot, happy as, a pig and shit, and then take it off of him a month later, that would have been better. But nobody came out of this, to me, looking even as good as they did when they went in.
Night 1 started and night 2 ended the same way, with the heel champion coming out victorious.
So there you have it. I took so many notes, I can't even tear this all in one tear. It looked like Bobby Heenan trying to tear a phone book. I'll just tear.
Will you stop? You care about history. You should stop ripping this stuff up. This is important.
Oh, nobody's ever going to look at this again.
People would love to look at it. People would love to look at it.
Well, I got some other things people can love to look at.
Well, they could do that on your OnlyFans page, but people want to see your notes for all these things.
Hey, and here's another thing. If people think that women get the short end of the stick, they sure can make money on OnlyFans a whole lot easier than guys can. They got advantages.
I guess so. I didn't expect this rant.
Well, I'm just saying. Everybody's got their own type of advantages, but women are just not completely helpless and defenseless. They can make money on OnlyFans, and they never have to work at getting laid.
And also, of course, I don't know how I'm going to transition to Stephen P. New from this. Of course, they also can sue a big corporation like 3M when they get screwed over.
Oh, for heaven's sake, just admit it. Just admit it. You want to just go into the Stephen P. New spot now, and why shouldn't we? Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Play that funky music.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. show or two. Skills to the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're upset over being sold a bill of goods on a wrestling pay-per-view or whether you got real troubles in your life, like an elder family member, the victim of nursing home abuse, whether a major corporation has poisoned the water source in your town, whether the Veterans Administration hospital doctor has assaulted you or a member of your family, Stephen P. New is in all of this stuff because he doesn't like it when people take advantage of the little guy and want to walk all over him. And he fights for your rights. NewLawOffice.com, 888-692-8084. He's become not only a celebrity, but also a paragon, a shining light of legal jurisprudence in a world of shadiness. You know that Stephen P. New is an attorney you can trust. You know, a lot of times people ask the question, why does a snake not bite a lawyer? And the answer is professional courtesy. But in this case, Stephen P. New is one of us, a member of the cult of Cornette, a longtime wrestling fan, and one of the little people that wants to make sure those big people don't push the little people around. So if you have any problems or any issues or know someone in your family or social circle that does, because, Bryan, we've gotten umpty 7 emails since Stephen has been a part of the program saying, you know, I heard your guys' spot and I just talked to my aunt who had a problem with the nursing home, or I just talked to my grandmother who said that my grandfather had been diagnosed with so-and-so, and then we hear about the class action suit. So a lot of the cult members have put non-wrestling family members or friends in their immediate circle onto Stephen P. New without even knowing about his sparkling reputation in the wrestling profession. Anyway, Stephen P. New, NewLawOffice.com, 888-692-8084.
That's right.
That's right. Not a 808-8084. It's just 8084.